Absolutely. You can have the emotional one where you catch up for special little exclusive lunches with your workmate. You talk about your marriage problems and the fact you're not getting any sex with your wife.
Yeah.
And you have little pet cute names for each other and all that sort of horrible stuff. That's equally as painful.
Yeah.
I mean, you just look, you guys are sitting there going, that's horrible.
Well,
It
it's
is.
terrible because it's investing trust and intimacy in it. It's so simple. If you want to cheat, be single. If you want to be committed, be in a relationship.
Nice.
Thanks for your very kind words today. Please thank the lovely John Aiken. And if you've had the experience of someone being unfaithful to you, call me. I know some hitmen. Now, here's Marianne.
Well, what do Christina Aguilera, Jessica Simpson and Scarlett Johansson all have in common? They're all under 30 and they're all divorced. It may seem a far cry from our realities here in Australia, but new figures show that many young Aussie marriages are not surviving past the 4-year mark. To tell us more, please welcome relationship psychologist John Aiken.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, welcome back to The Circle, John. We love your advice on these sort of things. First of all, can you tell us about what this study found?
Well, between 2007 and 2009, they found that there was a spike in under 30s getting divorced before the 4-year mark. So essentially, these younger people are getting together, but they're not lasting the test of time.
Well, why not? Is it just they're too young, they're tying they're not too young?
Well, I think that's certainly got something to do with it. I think also now there's less stigma attached. That, as you say, the people in the media are getting divorced now, the Christina Aguileras and those types, and so people are finding it a little more easy to get out of something. And I think also, as well, at that age, you're young, you're empowered, you're driven, and you're more prepared, if something's not working, to get rid of it and keep moving on.
But why do they feel the need to get married in the first place? Are they suckers for romance?
Well, I think anyone who's been through that process, and I include myself here, you know, you get swept up in it all. You know, it's a big time in a couple's life, all the preparation and the engagement parties and the planning that goes on. So I think people often get swept up. They lose track, ultimately, of what's going to happen after the wedding. And then they're faced with it when everyone sort of goes back to their normal everyday lives.
John, do you think, hi, it's Claire here, do you think couples have a bit of an unrealistic idea about how much work it takes to make a marriage last? Like, what is it about being under 30 that's kind of a dirty statement to make, that marriages can be hard work? Not mine, of course, but...
Yeah, I think they probably do have unrealistic expectations. They're not sure about the nuts and bolts and the sacrifices of a good marriage. And so they're also young in terms of their life experience, a lot of these people. And so realistically, they're only coming into their own when they get to 30, let alone trying to make a marriage work. And I think they find it very difficult. And now, because the stats are out there and more people are getting divorced, you know, it's sort of an easier out now than perhaps it used to be.
Hey, John, you've got some advice for young couples which I found reading really, really helpful. Do you mind going through that?
Yeah, no, sure. Well, look, I try and keep things as nice and simple as possible. Couples that do well together, they spend lots of time together. They make sure that there's affection and sex going on. So inside and outside of the bedroom. Share the housework.
Hang on a minute.
Back up. Inside out. How often should we have sex and intimacy, like in a week, say?
Well, look, you know, as many people say, it does vary. Some people say, oh, you know, I'd like it once a day. Other people say, you know, once a fortnight's fine, particularly when you've got kids. So it will vary between person to person. But if you're trying to have sex perhaps once a week, and also really focusing on non-sexual touch outside of the bedroom. So those long foot massages, Georgie, that you're always wanting, they have to happen for other things to be happening in the bedroom. So focus on that. And the other thing I'd like to say about couples getting married, you've got to have clear expectations about this. So before you get married, talk about, you know, how many kids you want, what sort of schooling and education, how you're going to run your finances, you know, does religion play a role, are you going to go back to work after you have children, all of that stuff you need to talk about beforehand so that you essentially cope with the challenges along the way.
Because the fact is, John, everyone used to get married before they were 30 and they stayed together. So when we go outside the bedroom, where do you suggest we start?
Well, you know what? Start with just doing little things often that are going to make your partner feel special and make them feel a priority. So, for instance, when you come through the door at night, put down whatever you're doing and go to your partner. Make a point of kissing them and seeing what their day was like. So farewells and reunions are important. When someone tells you that something's going wrong in their life, listen to them, but don't try and offer solutions. Just let them vent.
Yeah.
Don't
have your mobile phones out at dinner. No mobile phones at dinner.
Absolutely. That's a really good point. Try and connect for 20 minutes every day. Turn the cell phone off. No TV. And just make sure that essentially, as often as you can, you're getting an understanding of what's going on for your partner and living inside their world.
John, I've got to say, I heard you mention that 30 years, the 30th birthday, is a bit of a hump. And don't you think that many of us are really, really different in our 30s to what we are in our 20s? And a relationship surviving those changes is